to the show.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Off the Mats Podcast. And it's me, it's Dante. And we're getting close to episode 200. So we got to figure out what we are going to do. And I say we because y'all be listening, I be talking. So we got to figure out something for 200. But we're not there yet. I think we're at like 180. So for this episode, I am actually going to have on a new guest that is new to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as of February of this year, 2023. And they're a blogger, and, we got the kind of talking back and forth. I, heard that she just started Jiu-Jitsu, and I was like, oh my goodness, I want to hear your story because she's been, writing in her blogs about her experiences and just things kind of to be on the lookout for, like bad habits, bad traits, things like that, because we know they exist. So she's hitting us with those reminders. So welcome into the show this week. I want to bring on Miss Luciana Oliveira.
Yes.
Welcome to the show.
How are you? Thank you for having me. I'm feeling great. I'm very excited about this.
Good. When you first messaged me and you sent me the link, I was like, okay, a lot of people will message me on Instagram and tag me in things and want me to reshare, and that's perfectly fine. That's why that page exists.
Yes.
But what always gets me is like if someone's not following me, and I'm like, feels one-sided.
It's follow first, isn't it?
Yes. So that was the first thing I saw. I was like, when you sent me the message, I was like, let me go see if she's following me. Okay, she's following me. All right, let me go check it out now.
First tick.
So that's just a piece of advice to anybody out there listening that isn't following and you're sending me stuff to repost. You got to follow first.
Just follow first.
At least. So you started Jiu-Jitsu, you said back in February, correct?
Yes, that's correct. So I had quite a rough 2022. It's actually in the first line of my blog post is about talking about my jiu-jitsu journey, was just explaining how my 22 was quite a rough year. There was a lot of personal things going on. I had just finalized my divorce at the time. So it was it just felt very heavy, especially towards the end and then beginning of 2023. I was just feeling quite drained mentally, emotionally. It's not easy to go through a divorce, especially when you have kids involved. I have one daughter. So it was difficult. And I was just, in the beginning of January, I went through a bit of a hibernate kind of phase where I didn't really want to do anything. I just want to kind of sit by myself and just kind of process all of those emotions by myself. And then once I was getting out of that phase, I started seeking for some sort of something. I didn't know what to look for at the time. I had a subscription at just a normal gym, normal gym membership. I wasn't really going there. I was just not feeling it. I never really got much joy from the normal gyms. I was going because I was like, yeah, it's exercise, it's good for you. Let me just go, let me get the membership. But I never really felt excited about gyms in general. I like group exercising groups. Could be dancing, could be, some sort of class of some sort. So I wasn't very excited about it. But I kept the membership just to kind of see if I would get some sort of, just push myself to do some exercise. I wasn't doing it though. So I started looking, I was feeling quite sad, and I wanted to I had this feeling that I want to be part of something bigger than myself. I was like, I feel like I need to be part of some sort of community, a group, maybe even some sort of support group, like, for post-divorce trauma, something like that, some sort of group. And then I started looking for things like spiritual groups. I'm quite into spirituality, as you probably noticed from the blog. I like everything spirituality, meditation, well-being, all of those things. So I started looking for spiritual groups, and I really like Buddhism. So I started looking for Buddhist centers around my area. The thing is, I live in quite a bit of a country area. It's very rural around here, so there's not much going on. And I wanted it to be very convenient. I wanted it to be close to my house. I wanted the times to be correct, because obviously I have my daughter have school runs and she's got a bunch of activities. So I wanted everything to just fit within my schedule. And it wasn't fitting. The timings were a bit not quite working out. It was a little bit far. And I was like, okay, let me look for other things. So I started looking for churches, because I'm quite open. I just wanted to feel part of something and just listen to some positive words, feel part of a group, like I told you. So I started looking for churches, and there was a beautiful church right in the middle of Chester, which is very close to my house. Beautiful church. So I went there a couple of times. It was lovely, but it still wasn't doing it for me. There was still something missing. And then I stopped again. I stopped sitting. I was like, nah, this is not working. I'm just going to stop it altogether and just go to the gym or whatever. Still didn't go to the gym. I know. And then I was on Instagram, on the blog page, on Your Journey blog page, Instagram account one day, which I never go. I deleted everything. I deleted my Facebook. I deleted my Instagram. I was just like, I just want to get rid of all of this. But I still kept, obviously, it's my work Instagram account. It was a very small account. And I was there doing something for work one day. I had to do some sort of, it was because when you do a blog post, sometimes the clients ask us to share it on socials, on our platforms. Sure. So I think I was literally just doing that. I just logged in on Instagram to do that post and get out. And this ad popped up. One of this, Instagram stuff just keep popping up. Yes. And it was for kickboxing. And I was like, I've done boxing, a little bit of boxing in the past, like a few years ago. I was like, I've done some boxing. Kickboxing may be similar, just a little bit of kicks involved with the boxing, You know what? I'm just going to sign up. It was like a free trial thing. I was like, might as well just have a look. So I did that. I went on the website, straight from the ad, went straight on the website, put my details, signed up for the free trial. I was like, yeah, it is what it is. As soon as I came out of the website, I landed back on Instagram. And there was another ad, not an ad, one of these pop-up things for the Roger Gracie Academy in Chester. Same free trial. I was like, I just signed up for kickboxing, but you know what, whatever, I'm just gonna do that as well. So I just did. I went on the website on RGA Chester, signed up for the free trial, put my details. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna just do it. And that's how jiu-jitsu kind of came to my life the first time. So I went for the trials, and I don't know how I managed to do that, but both trials were on the same day. It was a Wednesday. I know. Wow. Bear in mind, I wasn't exercising at all for months, okay? For months. So here I go, to my free trial for kickboxing in the morning. It was, I think, around 9:30 in the morning. It was a ladies' class. It was very chilled. It was fun. And then from there, I packed my stuff and then went to Chester for the Roger Gracie Academy. And I got there. And I'm telling you, can I start talking about my first impression of that day it was my first time setting foot on a jiu-jitsu academy, martial arts. I've never went on karate, judo. I never tried it, so I've never set foot in anything like that before in my life. The kickboxing one was a bit more. It felt more familiar. It felt very much like the one, like other gyms I went for, like group classes and stuff. But when I went in RGA Chester, I was shocked at first, because I walked in, met all blue. There were maybe like, I think 6 or 8 pairs rolling. And in my mind, I thought I was going to walk in and we're going to hear all this noise of people wrestling and it was silent, but a very strange silence. They were sweating and they were strangling each other, and you could hear all the noise, and I was like, and there's sweat everywhere, and I'm like, what am I doing here? Like, what am I doing here? What's going on? So I got in, spoke to Steve. He gave me, the gi for my trial class, and off I went. Very, very much questioning all my life choices at this point, because what did I sign up for? But anyway, I'm here now. Let me just get on with it. So we've done the warm ups, and then we started doing the techniques. And when I tell you, I couldn't understand anything that he was saying. Anything. I was like, what was he talking about? Side control, mount. And I was like, what are these words? I've never heard these words in my life. So it felt like I was in some sort of parallel universe of communication, because I'm like, I don't understand what you're saying. I have no idea what these words mean. But I still got on with it. It was an hour class. I was sweating. I was huffing and puffing. I was out of breath. But what really stuck with me that day was how patient, how welcoming, how kind every single person that I was, drilling with or rolling with on that day, they were the sweetest people I've ever met in my life. They made me feel like I was part of it. They didn't make me, bear in mind I was the only girl there on that day, on that specific day. So it can feel quite intimidating to walk in a very masculine environment, a very masculine dominated environment. I did not feel like that at all. I felt looked after. I felt just, protected and looked and cared for. And I was like, these people they've never met me before. They've never seen me before. Like, why are they being so nice? Why are they being so careful with me? So that blew my mind, especially being such a, in a way, violent environment. But it didn't. So the paradox of like, this is supposed to be violent. Like, what's going on? I was really confused, and I loved it. And I signed up straight away. So I was like, yeah, take my credit, take my cards, take my money, take everything. How many gis do I need? I want to buy all the gis. I want to buy all the things, all the rash guards. I just want everything. So that's kind of how I landed on jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, it's funny because when you find an individual who, they just take right to it, and they, it's like, I want all the gis, I want all the rash guards, because they're cool. They're cool. There are a lot of cool looking gis out there. There are a lot of cool rash guards out there. Like, jiu-jitsu players, like in our environment, have some good fashion. And then there's some that are just like why'd you choose all orange? That's a bold choice there, my friend, but okay. But yeah, that, I'm glad your experience coming in, especially, being the only female, was a positive one,
Yeah.
because, like you say, you walk in, you're the only female there, it's male dominated, super masculine. It's like, I don't know
Okay,
if I
what am I
belong
doing
here.
here? They're gonna, strangle me to death, and
Yeah, they're gonna laugh you out of the gym
they're
like,
gonna,
ha ha ha, silly
absolutely,
girl, the
absolutely,
patriarchy. Uh,
absolutely. But no, absolutely, it was actually quite the opposite, which it fascinates me to this day. How I
Good.
literally feel, and there are the girls there, but every time, because I normally train in the middle of the day, because I can, because I have a flexible job. I can work, I can train and work around my working hours quite freely. So I normally go on the midday 11 o'clock classes, and I'm normally the only girl. That sometimes there is a couple more girls that come, but normally they come in the evening classes. And again, most of the times I'm there, I'm the only girl, and I never felt left out. I never felt made fun of. I never felt like I was less of any, less than anyone else. Felt, like people were looking at me for, never, never, absolutely never.
Well, good. I find that to be very important to,
Mm,
a good sign of a good gym is, somebody on the first day, do you make them feel welcome? Do you make them feel like they're part of the family right away? And with those experiences, there's some people that they come in and it's just not a fit for them. It just
Yeah,
doesn't, no matter how accommodating you can be to them, there's just some people they
absolutely.
come in and they're like, just, I thought, I don't know what I thought, but I know that this isn't for me.
Which was me.
Um,
I don't know what I thought, but it wasn't this.
I've told this story, plenty of times on the podcast, for my first class, I went in for my trial and they paired me up with a 14-year-old kid, and he threw me around and strangled me. I was like, oh my God, like,
Oh my
what am I doing? But then I'm like, in my mind, I was like, no, I'm gonna get that kid back. So I signed up. I was like, me and that boy is going. And he was good. He was really good. And for many years, like, just kicked my ass all over the mat. When he turned 18, he's about to go away to college. He and I rolled. And I can take I didn't tap him. I didn't get any sweeps on him, but we did get kind of stuck in 50-50. He didn't foot lock me or anything. So
Yeah.
I took that as a win.
I was
I
gonna
was
say a
like,
win is a win. A win is a win.
I got him.
Got
Meanwhile,
you.
he went off
Got
to
you
college
back.
like what? Like, no, you didn't. But he was a sweet kid, and the
Yeah.
environment was really, really sweet, which is why, yeah, I immediately signed up as well. I I'm glad that, again, that first encounter was great for you, so that way you're like, I want to sign up now.
Yeah,
Like,
because like you said, yes, jujitsu is not for everyone, and I understand. I mean, I didn't think it was for me, to be honest. When I walked in, I was like, this is not for me at all. I don't want to miss my train of thought, but I just want to touch on this a little bit because that's one of the main things that really got me into it. I grew up with a huge fear of injuries. I'm not saying that people, are okay with being injured, but like I am absolutely terrified of getting injured. Um, because every time I did get injured, it was something serious. Like I would break my shoulder, break my wrist, break my foot in 3, 4 places. So I was always very scared of trying things a bit too adventurous with my body. Like I never tried martial arts. I never tried, anything too, because I was scared of falling and breaking my wrist, breaking my arm. So I never really tried anything super, you know, I would do dance classes happily, but nothing to do with martial arts, nothing to do with, I didn't want to do any boxing and none of that because I was scared. And I know what that's gone. That's completely gone. Yes, I am
good.
obviously, I have to be careful. I'm 40 years old. I have a daughter that's small. I need to drive her everywhere. I have to drive places. So I can't get injured. I don't want to get injured. But that fear, I think, is reduced to 30%. I would still go full, I will roll, I will give everything that I have in the rolls. I'm not going to, in the beginning, I had one class. It was one of my first classes, and we were doing break falls. We were just, doing a bit of, the throws and the break falls. And I didn't know how to break fall, right? Like, I was, please, you don't learn this thing, you don't learn that in
Yeah.
life, right? Like, you don't learn how to break fall. So I had no idea. So they're teaching it, showing you how to break fall, right? How to not injure yourself when you're falling. And I'm trying my best. I was trying my best, but it wasn't enough. So I hit my head on the mat a couple of times, and that was enough to throw me completely. I was just like, nah. I walked out. I walked off the mat. I went into the bathroom, started crying, and I was like, this is not working. I'm gonna get my car keys and I'm gonna leave. And that day was another turning point for me because I left the mat. There was, bear in mind, on that day was an evening class. There was many people. There was a lot of people that day, and I walked out, and they noticed that I left. And I think they noticed that I don't know if they did, because as soon as I hurt as I bumped my head twice, I left. I didn't look, and I was like, I just need a minute. And George saw me, one of the lads. I'm sorry for mentioning names. I don't know if that's okay. I don't think they mind because I'm not saying anything. So I went to the bath. I was crying, and I was like, I'm just gonna get my keys and I'm gonna leave. And I walked back out, and then he was like, what happened? Where are you going? And I was like, this is not working. Like, I hurt myself. Like, I was proper like, this is not for me. And they were all kind of, having that breaks for water and stuff, and they all kind of not all of them, but like a few of them just kind of approached and they were like, listen, we are still learning, colored belts, purple belts, blue belts. We're still learning. And um don't leave. Just stay and just try again. Just give yourself a minute, but don't leave. And I had a very nice conversation with Steve. Steve is my coach, and he also gave me the best pep talk on that day. And Luke, the other coach, was also there training that day, and he also gave me a little bit of a pep talk. And like that just boosted me into going back. I was like, you know what, I'm here. Let me just try. And that was one of the best lessons I had once I went back and tried again. It just, because you felt like they're not trying to hurt you. Just go back and try again. Just clear your mind and try again. And I did, and I started getting better. And I'm still not great at break falls. I still, I have my moments.
It takes time.
Yeah, it takes a minute, but it's better, and my fear is kind of fading away as I go. So
Well, good. The injuries, that's unfortunately just part of the game.
yeah.
I mean, and the thing is with injuries, I mean, you can't really see because my shirt blends in with the shoulder brace that I'm wearing here. I got on a
Oh
black shirt
no.
and the shoulder brace is black. Um, but yeah, it's like it's sometimes it's not even like big injuries either. It's like little injuries, like your hands, like
I
my
have my pinky
finger.
is still recovering from a fracture.
Yeah, like my wife always tells me, it's like whenever something happens to my finger, she's like, "Well, go to the doctor, get it, looked." I was like, "Why?" Like, all they're
There
gonna
is no point anymore. It's too many to keep up with. It's
yeah, they're gonna put it in the cast, and I can't train for like weeks, and I'm not really in for that. I'm just gonna work around it. My ring finger, I'm not even sure how that happened. When I returned to training from a long hiatus, we're doing grip fighting, and maybe it got tangled. I don't know, but I didn't notice it. It didn't hurt during class. I had no issues in class. I got home and I noticed my ring finger was swollen, like my wedding band, because I don't wear my wedding band on the mats.
yeah,
I,
yeah.
I keep it on my keychain, and then I'll put it back on after. I couldn't even get it over the first knuckle. But okay,
Oh
this is
no.
the life we're living, and it's kind of better now. The ring won't fit still. I have a silicone.
It's got a
Uh,
little bit of bend, but it's okay. It's kind of functional enough.
it works now. It closes now. Before it was like go to close my hand and this finger still like just was like
This
okay.
is what's happening with my pinky. Like I can't do a proper grip. I don't know if you can see it,
Yep.
but it doesn't
Mhm.
fold like that. So yeah, we're still trying to work on the grips, trying to get that finger to work again.
It's like once you start playing with um lasso guard and spider guard and stuff like
Oh my gosh,
that,
yes.
it like your fingers start to get like all types of jacked up, but then then you build kind of a tolerance to it, so you're like, okay, here
Yeah,
we are, that's where
yeah,
we are, and this is the life I live now. Because if you stop for a little while with playing with the lapels and the sleeves, then your fingers go back to normal, and now it's hard to get back in because that's what happened. And now, right now in class, we're working on a lot of lasso and
yes,
this ring finger. As I go to get the lasso and make sure I got a good grip on the sleeve, when
yeah.
I secure the lasso, my finger is burning, and
Oh no.
like my training partner doesn't know, so they're not, they're like just yanking and trying to get out. I'm just like, dude, this hurts so much. Please stop.
Just
Like,
ignore it. Just ignore the pain.
yeah. Oh, at this point, it's just like part of like I said, it's part of the game. My
Yeah.
shoulder, like my hip, I did something to my groin back in April. I strained my groin.
Oh
So
no.
it's just like those injuries are there, but it's like I feel like if you weren't training though, and you
Yeah.
get one of these injuries, there's this mental thing that kicks in where you're like, oh my god, like this is the end. I'm so dumb. What do I do? Like like, and then you have this fear of recovery, so you recover slowly. Whereas with jujitsu, it's like you get injured, you know, to get back on the mat, you have to do things
Absolutely.
properly. So you start losing that fear of injury, and kind of start like, okay, I'm hurt. What do I got to do to get better? And then,
Yes.
once you're better, you're back to it. But you don't jump in foolishly and just say, okay, that ACL is healed now. I'm just gonna jump in and play leg
No,
lock. No,
no, no.
we're cautious.
Yes, absolutely. We're way more aware of healing time, and like I'm training, and I'm still wearing the little sling thing that they made, the little splint slings, the little
Mhm.
splint thing that they made. So I still wear it because it's not 100%. It still hurts a little bit, so I'm still rolling with it on. I put my tape around it to make sure it's in place. Sometimes it flies in the distance, but most of the time stays in place, just to give it a little bit of protection. I had a bit of something with my elbow, a little bit of something with my shin, and I'm aware of this discomfort. And whenever I'm off the mat now, I'm giving it, if I put some ice, I'll put some, give it a little bit of a rest. But yeah, we're way more aware of injuries and the healing time, but we also don't want to miss class, do we? So it's a bit of a I tell my girls, like, if I get really injured, which I don't want to, I will still come and just sit on the mat, because I
Yeah.
cannot get enough of the amount of knowledge that the coaches have. Like, it blows my mind. This is again on something else. It's like how knowledgeable they are. Like, I feel like I just wish I could like open that little head and like shove like a little connecting, USB, and just connect to my brain and just kind of transfer the information, because it's so much. There's so much from them. There's so much on the internet. There's just so much information, and it's just so valuable. And I was like, I just want to just get it in the brain. I wish I was like in my 20s, when the brain's fresh and you don't have zero responsibilities, and just get it in my brain.
Yes, I
Yeah.
I get that completely.
Yeah. So I
Always.
missed a week because I had a little bit of a I was sneezing a little. And it's one of my, pet peeves. I literally just wrote
Yeah.
a blog post about pet peeves. Like, do not turn up. Don't go to class when you have, contagious stuff. And I was sneezing. I was like, I don't know what this is. I just missed class. And I was, when you just, I was fidgety. I was like, I want to go to class. I just want to sit there and listen, but I can't, because I don't want to contaminate my friends. So yeah, it's very funny. Gets
No,
it's
we
addictive.
we appreciate that on the mats as well, because there's been times where people show up sick, and I'll admit I've done it too.
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
shown up sick as well.
yeah.
And not even just to sit on the sidelines, but like to get into the thick. I was like, I'm rolling today. Like, I've got a fever and I'm woozy, but I'm getting on these mats. And you know, I that's something, in this new world that we're in, post COVID
Yes.
world that we're in. I don't mess around with that anymore. If I don't feel good, I'm not going in. My coach, I talked to him yesterday. He wasn't feeling well. I normally do private lessons with him, and he was like, because it would be one on one and up close and personal. He
Mm,
was like, I don't want to get you sick. He
absolutely.
still taught class, but he did it from a distance. He had other people demonstrate the move, and he just kind of talked it through, but he stayed away from everyone.
Absolutely.
But that is a thing with training. It's like you said, that you just can't get enough. You just, I'm injured. I want to show up. Show up and take notes. Show up with your phone and record. The technique portion, and then that's what I do now. Is like, I try to get a video of the technique being demonstrated, and then I go home and write my notes
Yeah.
to that. The that's Also with the injury thing too. I was thinking about it. There's a movie that came out back in what, '92 over here called The Program, and
Okay.
it's a football movie. And one of the guys in practice, he gets hit hard
Yeah.
and he falls out. And the coach comes over to him and says, "Are you injured or are you hurt?" And the guy goes, "Well, what's the difference?" Well, if you're hurt, you can get back up and play. If you're
Hmm.
injured, then you're out. So I always think about that whenever I get any kind of, you know, nicks or bruises or anything. Like with my
Yeah.
finger, the finger's a little different because it's like it's an injury,
Yes.
but I think I could still get around that. yesterday in training, somewhere along the lines, I think I uh, went for a takedown, and I think I like bumped shins with somebody maybe because my
Mhm.
shin hurts a lot today.
Yeah.
It's been hurting like since late last night. And I was like, that's weird. And then I my arm, I know I fought out of an arm bar last week, and it's fine now, but it had this weird pain to it all week, like
Yeah.
right in
Yeah.
the elbow. So it's like being aware of, what's, you know, due to keep you out for extended time versus
Mhm.
maybe, just kind of take a couple days or ice it or,
Yes.
you know, take care of yourself basically.
Yes. And whenever you're off the mat, just kind of, relax, put your leg out, just put some ice there. Just
Mhm.
be aware there's something that needs healing and give it time and give it attention and it'll be fine.
Yep. I mean,
Yeah.
and being off the mat doesn't necessarily mean like, yes, physically you're not training,
Yeah.
sure. But you can still look at video, you can
100%.
still write notes, you can still there's so much you can do that elevates your game. There was
Absolutely.
someone at our gym, I believe, or maybe someone that one of our coaches coached years ago. The guy went away for what 2 years maybe, and
Hmm.
he wasn't able to train. But he looked at a lot of videos, he took a lot of notes, and he came back actually better, which is just
Wow.
wild to hear because it's like you're not getting any mat time, like you're not training at all physically. But I mean, some people are
Funny.
built that way. I'm not.
I'm not either. No, no, I'm not. No, absolutely. No. That's so cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, and
Fascinating.
that's just also something too I think about when it comes to jiu-jitsu. It's like learning styles. Some people are kinetic learners, and like
Yes.
myself, I have to physically do the move in
Same.
order to understand it. If and for everybody that can watch videos and really like let it sink in, I'm proud of you guys. You guys are amazing. I'm not
Yeah. Yeah.
amazing. I'm
Yeah.
just Dante, and I'm trying my best.
Listen, I watched so much stuff. Like since I started in February, like I've just been following all the accounts, all the big names, all the new names, everyone, and I see so many cool things from now, from the old times, the beginning of jiu-jitsu, and it fascinates me. But like there is no way I could replicate that from watching. Like there is sometimes I can't replicate when I'm on the mat watching with my eyes and paying attention fully. I still cannot replicate. So no, I cannot learn remotely. I have to be physically trying and multiple times to get to the 10% of what they're trying to teach.
Yeah, and I think with that being the case, though, w- you know, that's most of us,
Yeah,
but there are those prodigies out there that's just, you
I know.
know, they pick it up quick. You get the white belt that comes in, they get the blue belt in 6 months. It's like,
I
geez
know.
Louise.
I
And
know.
and sometimes that can be attributed to somebody being a wrestler and
Yes.
having, past experience grappling. But there are those individuals who can show up to the mats, no experience grappling at all. They soak it up like a sponge. They
Yeah.
become blue belt very, very quickly. Then they hit purple belt very quickly. And it's just those things that are
Some people are just
jujitsu.
like that, isn't it?
Yeah. Um, like I was thinking about it last week as I'm sitting in class. I was thinking about I'm in there on a Saturday morning, and my coach is going over the move, and I'm sitting there picking, absorbing everything up. And I started thinking, I don't know why I've been doing this for so long, and for some reason, it never clicked in my head. Like I'm sitting in school right now. I'm in class, like a classroom setting, like in school, like when I
Yes.
was a kid, or early in college or something. On a Saturday morning, I'm like, okay, here I am. Now I'm learning. I'm taking notes. Oh, now we got to demonstrate it. Okay, and it in my older age now at 45, I'm starting to really look at things differently in terms of like pro wrestling. I look at them as stuntmen now,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, like when I look at them as stunt performers now, it takes a different shape in my mind. Looking at jujitsu and being in class, I look at it as like a classroom setting, and
Yes.
now like it's a whole different. way
Yes.
of me absorbing.
Yes, I like that too. I like the analogy. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
For yourself and I, us being kinetic learners,
Yes.
this setting is probably best for us because we are going to be instructed on the move, and then we're actually going to have to physically do the move as well.
Yes.
And that's where we're going to really soak it all up. So
Yeah.
kudos to
And the thing
us.
is, like, the other thing is, like, my body doesn't move the same way, right? Like, the bodies don't move the same way,
Yeah.
depending on age, depending on your body, how you built and stuff. So yeah, it kind of depends, right? Like, it depends. Like, my daughter, she picks up on, she's very physical, like, with, she's always been, she, walked super young. She started walking when she was 9 months, and she was climbing and throwing herself off things. And she's very she picks up on, like, she can pick up on things physically really quick. Like, if you want her to sit down and do some coloring, she gets fed up and she wants to, like, nah, I'm not doing that. This is shit. I'm just gonna do something else. I'm just gonna throw myself off the windowsill instead. Because she's just, but these built like this from, again, because from a very young age she was like that. She's very confident with her body. Like, you put a beam. It's like, yeah, go walk on the. She will walk on the beam and she'll do a somersault at the end of it. Do you know, because, and that's just how she operates. That's how her brain operates. How her physical, her body operates. And she's 6 as well, so she's very, everything's just functioning the way it
Yeah.
should. Everything's flexible. I can't experience. And this is the other thing about the beauty of jiu-jitsu off the mat, right? Like, there's just so many benefits. Like, I could literally sit here all day for days and tell you all the benefits, but it's like being aware that, yes, it's really cool. It's a very cool move, do the flying flying triangle, whatever, the cool stuff that the kids are doing. But being aware that's really cool, but I'm probably never going to do that. And that's
Yeah.
fine, because that's not my journey. That's their journey. That's what they're doing. That's what their body's capable of doing. That's not my journey. And that's absolutely, and I'm happy with the way I'm learning and my pace and how do you know what I mean? It's like, just being, I'm not comparing myself. It's really good for you that you can do that, triangle voador, how we say in Brazil. But, fantastic, beautiful. But, I'm happily just doing things in my own pace over here.
Well, and that's the thing. It's your pace. Your game is for you. So there are times where we're training, and yesterday, as an example,
Yeah.
they're doing barambolos and
Yes.
doing all this craziness to
They
back
are
weights.
cool. I love Berry Bolos. Berry Bolo.
And
I love it. I love watching the videos of Paulo Mião and João. I love watching them doing it. It's so cool.
like as I'm watching it being done, my coach looked at me because I made a face and he started laughing. I was like, yeah, I just gave him that look like, nope,
Not
not
doing
me.
it.
And the thing is, like I always say that I know I can invert. I can do a berimbolo. I don't have an issue with it. But when I
Yeah.
think about it, it's where I clog up. But if we're in the middle of a roll, just off
Yes.
of necessity, I'm going to do it if needed. But
Yes.
also there are times where like we might be learning a move and it might not be something that's going to go into your arsenal to
Yes.
utilize,
Yeah.
but you still shouldn't try to work with it in order to have to recognize it for defense.
Absolutely.
So when I have one teammate, he loves to invert, and every time I see him, like as soon as I see that shoulder going in that motion, I'm like, nope. I grab his leg. I'm like, you
Not
ain't
for me.
going
Not
nowhere,
today.
son. Like you're staying here. Like get back. But
Yeah.
your game is your game. So
Yes.
when we look at the technique videos on YouTube and Instagram and things like that, and we see something really cool, it becomes a question of, is that something that fits into my game,
Yes.
or is it something that's it's cool to see, it's cool
Yeah.
to know, but am I
Absolutely.
going to ever utilize that
Yeah.
myself personally? And you never know. You, like I said, out of necessity, you might end up in a position where you might have to throw a flying triangle.
I
Um,
know.
I, I can't
And
imagine it,
everything
but
will connect and everything will work perfectly and it'll be beautiful and it'll be trending on Instagram the next day. Yeah, that would be great. Maybe, you never know. You never know.
Yeah. The thing is though too is like the fundamentals and perfecting those. It may not sound fancy, it may not seem flashy, but the fundamentals never get old.
I know,
As
right?
I quote my friend who said that many, many, many episodes ago. But for you, as you move forward in the journey, and what we're about 7 months, 8 months into your training.
Yeah, I think so. It's crazy how I remember like walking in like the first few weeks, right? And I had this my line, which is like, guys, please, I literally just joined like a week ago. Please go easy on me. Don't throw me around. I don't want to be bouncing off the ceiling. Please, just take it easy. I can't use that anymore, which is a shame.
Oh, sure you can. I've been training since 2015. I still say that. I'm like, hey,
I
hey,
still
I'm
say it,
still
but I
new.
can't be like, oh, I just started like a week ago. Please go easy on me. I can't use that. I still moan that sometimes. I please just go easy on me. I've got an injury here, an injury there. I mean, please just just be careful. But yeah, I can't believe it's been a few this many months already.
I mean, it flies by.
It
Uh,
does. It does.
so with the training so far, as you're
Yeah.
still, you're kind of learning. We're always learning, no matter what belt rank we are: white belt, blue belt, purple, brown, black belt. We're always learning. The game is always evolving and changing. But for yourself, do you think you have any plans to challenge yourself and compete?
I was literally talking about that with my friend, one of my friends, one of the girls that train at RGA, Chester, and we are pretty much the same age, like in our 40s, and she's been considering, like she was talking to us like, oh, there is a few competitions that another friend of ours told us, like, oh, if you go, they can match you with someone same age, same belt, like, same weight. It's not going to be this discrepancy of you are 40 and you're competing with a 20-year-old that, been training her whole life and top of the game. And she's been considering. It haven't crossed my mind. Um, Apart from when they're like, oh, we should all go and compete. And I don't have this thing about competing at the moment. It may change, it may not. I don't know. I think it's really cool. I really want to watch it. I haven't watched it live yet, any competitions live, so I really want to do that a few times, just to have a feel of how it is to be there and watch people competing live. But I don't. I'm just here for the journey, for the fun, for the learning, which is a lot already. But you never know. You never know. So she's considering. It just doesn't really. I don't even have any potential. Like I don't have any. Um, Obviously, you want to move and you want to grow and you want to progress. I think everybody does whatever you're doing, you want to progress. But I don't even have like, oh, I want to become this. I want to have this belt. I want to have that. I couldn't care less about how many stripes, what color belt. I could not care less. I'm just so happy to be here, to be there, and just be in the environment and just the community, the people. I just want to be there. I was there today at 8 a.m. and from 8 to 12:30. I was shocked to myself. That was on a Sunday. I'm training from 8 to 12:30. And it was so good. It was early. I was barely awake. I was a bit disorientated at first. I was like, oh, why am I just 8 o'clock in the morning? Like, what's going on? And I'm just happy to do that. For now, I'm just happy to just be part of it. I never thought about competing. I think it's extremely cool, but it didn't cross my mind. It doesn't really do it for me right now.
Fair enough, and
Yeah.
we share that in common.
Yeah.
Uh, I competed once,
Yes.
back
How was
in my
that?
white belt days, and it was interesting for sure. Uh,
Yeah.
all the stuff for me in the training room that I knew went out the window
Oh goodness.
once I got onto the master train. But the one thing that did stick was my will to fight and not give up
The
in a fight.
survival
And
instinct, isn't it? The survival instincts which we normally don't use on a daily. We don't really use our survival instincts
yeah,
daily. Maybe a situation we kind of kick that in a little bit, but you normally don't have that. Survival instinct kind of in you. So that would be cool to feel that.
yeah. It was one of those things where I one of my teammates, he made a interesting point about it. He said it was paralysis by analysis. Like, I was trying to break everything down and I just froze up. I remember the first match, we slap hands, and we're standing there, and then we get our grips,
Yeah.
and that's the first thing I know. Be first, get your grips. Now, at this point in my training, I don't know if I'm going for a takedown, if I'm pulling guard. I don't even honestly at that point I didn't even know what pull guard meant. So
I was
I
gonna
was
be
just
saying,
like,
like you said, everything just goes out the window. So like, I just need to survive now.
yeah. I was just like, I don't know what to do. My opponent, he ended up getting the takedown on me. And I
Oh,
did have enough presence of mind to not let him get side control or get
okay.
mount or anything.
Yeah.
So he takes his 2 points for the takedown. We get the half guard. We're rolling around, rolling around. I still have the video somewhere. I have to find it. I'm
Oh,
not. I'm not posting that.
cool.
Y'all ain't seeing that.
Oh,
That's
now I want to see it.
that was rough. Um, but he had my back, but he didn't have his hooks in, because
Okay.
that was one thing. Again, I don't know much, but I know not to let you get your hooks in. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
I did a good job keeping him from getting his hooks. He eventually got into a position to get a bow and arrow choke on me,
Oh.
and I fancy myself good at defending those. So I wasn't worried about the bow and arrow choke. Plus, he's a white belt as well, so he's probably not really good at it.
Yeah.
So I'm defending. I hear my coach scream out, Dante, don't you tap. Meaning, like, you're either going to sleep or you're fighting out of this.
Oh
And
no.
I didn't get that at the time. I just thought, oh yeah, yeah, don't tap, because you can still fight out of this. No, he meant like, no, don't tap. Like just keep fighting until you can't fight anymore. It's like, I'm not going to sleep, for
Yeah.
sure. But I gave him a thumbs up, and the opponent, he let go. He was exhausted. He let go, and I actually just turned around into side control and got three
Nice.
points and won 3-2. So it wasn't even like I earned a win. It's just like
Yeah.
my coach says, the thing my coach says about it is like, you you did earn it though, because you never gave up.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I will take from it, is that even though I didn't really use jujitsu, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I I I was clueless. But and then that's not because the coaches didn't prepare me. They prepared me very well.
I'm
Like,
sure you were
I
prepared,
knew
but
jujitsu. It's just in the moment I was like, holy shit, so much is going on and I don't know what I'm doing. I wasn't scared by any means,
yeah.
but I was like, I need to survive because I know how to survive.
Yeah.
And my coach, the one thing he points out about is like, you never gave up. So that counts for everything. You stayed in
Absolutely.
that fight, and that guy, and afterward, I'm talking to my opponent later on,
Yeah.
and he said the turning moment for him was when I gave my coach the thumbs up, because he felt
Nice.
like, I'm not going to get this choke on this guy. I'm so tired. He let go, and I just turned around, and I think they gave me my points, like my three
Okay.
points, too fast, because there were literally 2 seconds left in the match,
Yeah. You see,
and
now you're
I think you got to
talking to
hold it for three.
yeah. See, now you're saying that, it just reminds me of this thing. Like, I completely off topic, but also on topic. Um, I was terrified of roller coasters at some point. Like, terrified. Like I said, I was terrified of lots of silly things. Roller coasters was one of them. And I was just about to go to, but one of the things that I had was like, if I ever go to Disney World, which was a dream of mine, especially growing up in Brazil, in Rio, most of the kids my age in the 90s, 80s kids, they, in Brazil especially, like, they brainwash us into like Disney World is the best place in the world. Go to Disney World for your birthday, for whatever, for our quinceañera, which is when we turn 15. It's a big thing for us. Like, go to Disney World. And I was like, if I ever go to Disney World, I'm gonna go in every single roller coaster is available, because it's Disney World. It's my one of my dreams. I'm gonna go, and I did, and it was one of the best holidays I've ever had. And I promised myself, I was like, I'm gonna try something at least once. That, and now talking to you about your competition, I was like, maybe I should try it once just to see how it goes.
At
But
least once.
just try it once to see. But yeah, I don't know. It just didn't cross my again. Like I'm having so much fun in the process of, and again, there's so much to learn. Like I said, I'm a white belt. There's so much to learn. There's so much knowledge on jujitsu. I'm just happy to be here. I'm just happy to be hanging out and rolling and sweating and injuring myself in the making. It didn't cross, but yeah, who knows? I may come back in some time do another podcast and be like, yeah, done it. It was fantastic. It was a great experience.
Well, I think that at some point, you may change your mind. Just say, you know what, because you'll get to a certain point where like maybe you want to challenge yourself. And I'm never the person to try to tell someone like, oh yeah, you got to compete, because I've had people tell me, here on the podcast, like, you gotta compete, you gotta, and it's like, well, it's not for everyone.
Yeah.
Not everyone wants to. I know for me, the lead up to everything was actually the worst part for me. It wasn't getting on the mats and competing and losing all of my faculties there. Like, oh no, I don't know what to do. It was the lead up. It was trying to,
Mhm.
and granted, I this was where I definitely was ill prepared, trying to make
Yeah.
my weight, and I made weight perfectly fine. But, I was stressing about that. Then we get there to the facility at what, 9 o'clock, 9 a.m., and you're waiting around all day. All now, granted, this place that I competed at is right around the corner from my house, so technically I could have just went home. I
Yeah.
could have went home, chilled out, and, like, have somebody text me when they call my name.
Yeah.
But I stayed there, as a teammate too. You want to be there and support your team, cheer them
Absolutely.
on. Recorded several matches with my teammates, and was really proud of them. And then my time came up, and I was like, oh shit, like I got, and I was actually walking towards the bathroom. So I was like, all
Yeah.
right, let me go to the bathroom because I got a feeling I'm coming up soon. And as I'm like, I would say like 20 steps from the bathroom, I hear, Jake Dante, Matt 5. And I was like, oh, fuck.
That's me. Oh,
So,
fuck.
like, I ran over there and with a full bladder too. So, maybe that win was very earned because I had a full bladder. I, forgot everything I was doing, and I ended up winning. Um, and my next match, because the guy I went against first round, because there were five of us in the bracket,
Yeah.
and there was someone had a bye, and however it works out, I was in the finals, and the guy I went against in the finals, it was easy work for him. He won 5-0. A big part of it, I just didn't know what I was doing. He got the takedown, he got side control. We worked our way
Yeah.
back. I got into half guard, bottom half guard, and we stayed there the entire match. And afterward, he was a really nice guy, and he goes, "Dude, you actually had kind of a tilt sweep on me. You could, if you would have just come up to your elbow." I was like, "You should have said that during the match. Like, that would have been real helpful." But um,
Again, when all
it,
the faculties got out the window, could have said that.
yeah. Well, and I just felt like, at the time too, just where my information was in my mind, I'm not thinking of it as a fight. Like, now, if I were to compete, I have a different viewpoint. I have a
Mhm.
different understanding. Like, we're not trying to hurt each other, but we
Yeah.
are trying to get a submission. We are trying to do whatever's going to
Yeah.
make that other person tap verbally, physically, however it may be, unconscious. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But there's no, like, ill will in it. Whereas when I was doing that as a white belt, I had that mindset too, but I also was like, well, I don't want to do that. I don't want to embarrass this guy. I don't want to hurt this guy.
Uh,
um you know and you're like, well, don't think that way because they want to do it to you. It's like,
yes,
oh
that's
yeah.
very true. That's very true.
So yeah,
Yeah.
at some point, if and when you do make that decision, I wish you the best on it.
Thank you. Thank you.
And where you're going with your training, it sounds like, you're at a really, really good academy that will have you very well prepared for that. So I'm,
Yeah.
like I
I'm
said,
the
I'm
other
not one
person.
to
I'm
tell.
100% sure of that. Like, if I ever get, in that mindset of wanting to compete, I'm pretty sure I will be well looked after in the academy. They are fantastic. All the coaches are absolutely amazing. I say that all the time, and I know it sounds like I say that on my posts. Like they are absolutely incredible. And again, I don't have much comparison here because this is the only academy I know. But honestly, the coaches are just phenomenal, phenomenal.
Good, good,
I'm in good hands for sure.
good. I feel like when when you're in that first run of training, and one would like to imagine, you'll be with your gym your entire training career, but seeing other gyms, cross training, things like that, it's a good way to get exposure and competing also. Because
Yes.
one thing I think about also when you're training and learning in the room,
Mm-hmm.
you're all learning the same thing. Yes, you develop your own game, but like your teammates know your game. So sometimes it could get stressful. Like, man, I can't get this to work. Like I can
Yeah.
never get to work. And but then if you go compete and you can make it work, or if you go train at another gym and visit another gym, boom, you
Yeah.
can make it work. And I always think about the ideal of like working on a move so much in your home gym and they know what you're gonna go for and
Yeah.
you're still able to execute it, and
Yes.
that's when you're like, I'm a bad motherfucker. Like I
Yeah.
can do
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. I think the thing is that like I feel I'm not even there yet. I don't have a game, so it's like the thing. I feel so. I'm still a baby in the jiu-jitsu world. So like I'm still, I'm barely crawling. So it's like I don't even have a game. So I'm still getting pretty much my ass kicked every time in my own gym. So, I don't need to test myself in other gyms yet because I will get my ass kicked anyway. So I'm just gonna keep, it's in my familiar gym, let my ass get kicked by familiar faces for now.
Well, we share that also in common. I'm still getting my ass kicked. I've been doing this for a very long time. Like I've been
Yeah.
doing it for a long enough time where I should be a different belt by this point, but whatever. Um, I'm not gonna lose sleep over it. But
Yeah.
the thing I think about, when it comes to all of that where you're training at and just again testing yourself is you know yeah, build it within your team.
I think with competition, for me personally, it's I have a which is complete opposite of what I just told you about injuries and stuff. I have a bit of an adrenaline junkie seeking kind of side to me. So if I ever got into something like that, I don't think it would be because I won that specific medal, that specific trophy, or it's because like I just want to be in an arena, in a place where people are shouting and screaming and rolling and throwing each other, you know, and just to feel the feeling of being in that situation. Like not even because I don't even care if it's just to be there as a competitor, not necessarily for the prizes. But again, I'm for now. It's just it's just an idea that I never really considered for now. But yeah,
Yeah.
it would be probably for the adrenaline rush. I think
Well,
like the roller
it's your
coaster
journey.
situation, the roller coasters. Yeah, it would probably be that.
I mean, again, it's your journey, so whatever reasons you go to do one thing or the other,
Yeah.
it's for you. Like it's funny because my buddy and I, we talk about this on one of our other podcasts. Like neither of us can stand roller coasters. Uh,
Really?
like I don't think he's ever going on a roller coaster again. I don't know.
Yeah.
I have a 7-year-old daughter. At some point, I know we're gonna go to Disney World. It's not high on my list of things to do,
Yes.
but it is definitely on her list of things to do.
I was
She
gonna
makes
say definitely on
she
her
makes all these plans and is like, "We're doing this." It's like, really? How much money you got? Uh, but like when I think about thrill seeking and adrenaline junkies and things like that, I'm like, yeah, I think my limit is really just doing jiu-jitsu and like having a 120-pound brown belt female on my back like a backpack and I can't escape them.
the
It's like, okay,
koala
like
hug.
I'm terrified right now. And meanwhile, I tell this to my friends, and they're like, "That doesn't sound like a good time." And it's like it's
I
not
know, right?
actually
It's
a good
so
time.
bizarre. It's so bizarre. I remember the first times I got smashed with these like huge dudes on top of me. The absolute sheer panic that it kicks in. It's so funny. Like, especially, I think, especially for girls, like, obviously we are not as strong. And, I'm not meaning to offend anyone, but, it's just my opinion. We're not, especially if you're going against a even taller person, it can be a bit of a, you know, they can be taller and bigger and wider and stuff. And, you can feel quite tight. And I remember being in an absolute panic sometimes, and being the spazzy, I'm probably still the spazzy white belt that's just kind of trying to kick and throw and stuff. And I've been working, especially lately, I've been working on telling them to attack, and I would just try and defend, because I've been trying to work on my breathing, and I just trying to think instead of just kick and throw, and try to push people off. Just think about, just be with that discomfort for a little bit and just try to work your way around it. But yes, obviously, it depends on the frame, it depends on the weight, the height, but in general, we can be quite on the smaller side.
Yeah. And the thing is, there's still strength in that as well. Like I said,
Yeah.
at a 120-pound brown belt, like female brown belt on my back, and you know, part of the advantage for her was being so small. Like, yes, I could probably,
Absolutely. Yeah.
like, she's on my back, I could try to stand up and like just drop.
Yeah, but
you know,
she's a
but
brown belt though.
yeah, like, she
She's
like
a brown belt. If you do that with a white belt, then the story will be different. She's using technique over power,
yeah,
over strength and stuff, which is a lot to do with what they sell with the jiu-jitsu, isn't it? It's like it's technique over brute force. But
yeah.
you're talking about a brown belt on your back, absolutely 100%. She's
And she
probably gonna
also
give it some grief.
she had me where I couldn't stand up. Like, I was doing everything in my power to move and get this lady away from me, and it's like, okay, I don't know what you're doing,
Like, I
but
don't want to
like,
hug right now.
yeah, it's like, I'm not really a hugger. Like, please stop. I don't like this. But there are guys that are big though that have been on my back that it because they're bigger, it's actually easier for me to kind of get their hooks off of me, and then kind of maneuver my way out. Versus her, is like, I'm not sure how you're using your small size
Yeah.
as a weapon, but it's working, and I
Yeah,
don't
and this is the
like
thing.
it.
Like, they are agile. They can fit in the gaps,
Yeah,
and feel the spaces and stuff. So like, I was rolling with another friend today, and this is saying, like, I'm taller than her. I am quite tall, and I am taller than her. And she's a blue. And I could not partner. Again, I'm a white belt. I'm just beginning. I'm just in the beginning of my journey. She's blue belt. She's ahead. But like, I could not do anything. She was so agile. She was keeping her guard. I couldn't go around. I couldn't go anywhere. I was just stuck in her guard. I managed to get out of the guard, off the guard, but I couldn't get side control. I couldn't, because she was just getting all, I'm quite, because the long legs, long arms, she's just getting all the gaps and filling all the gaps. I couldn't get anything in. So yes, it can be, sometimes you can use your weight and just pin them down. But if they have their legs and they move agile, it can be quite some work.
yep. One of my main training partners is a female, smaller female, and it is impossible. Well, I won't say impossible. It is very difficult for me to keep her down in side control because
Yeah,
she moves a lot. She
I
will get a
know.
knee in there and she will wedge her way through. And I think yesterday I did actually, well, because I have this weird mechanism that goes off where if we're rolling, I'm just lazy and I'm playing. I'm not lazy, but I'm like, I'm just like, I'm trying, but it's like, okay, I can't get out of here. But as soon as I hear, all right, short time, that something clicks, and I'm like, okay, I'm sick of being in this position. I get out, and then I turn the tables. But I ended up getting her in side control, and since he said short time, I was like, I'm just gonna hold her. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not trying anything fancy. Let's just sit here, and you're gonna
Stop
take
for a second.
all 215 of these pounds, and
Yeah,
like, when the time goes off, then we'll say, all right, good roll. But
yeah,
until
no,
then, I'm sick of you
absolutely.
taking my back and trying to choke me. This is not a good time. Uh,
Absolutely. And like this is funny because normally what I do I use my legs. I have long legs. So like I'm trying to, throw my legs and get on mount and I it can't and I was like, oh, I think I got her. And then she's out. And I was like, how did you get out? It's like I was so sure of this, like the mount was on, and then she's like, nah, she's out. So, and she's smaller and she can just get out of in the little spaces quite easily. So, sometimes it doesn't make much, but sometimes it does. It just depends, isn't it?
yeah, it's with mount. I know for me there it's a timing thing. There are
Yeah,
times where
absolutely. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
there's time into it. There's there's so many different things to it. I know for me, I tend to if I have you in side control, I'll push your knees to the opposite side,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll let your legs come back up, and then I'll push the knees again, push the knees again, push the knees, and push one more time, and then throw my leg over quick, and
Mm-hmm.
then I get to mount, and then I'm like, I don't know what to do from here. All right,
I do that as well. It's like I'm in
like,
mount now. What do I
yeah,
do?
it's like,
Where
and
do I
we're
go?
here.
I'm in that
Like,
position a lot as well. It's so funny. It is so funny. Like just it blows my honestly, it's of like the amount of times that I get to a good position. Rarely. Okay, rarely. When I'm not being again, smashed. I managed to get to the position. I was like, oh, this feels fantastic. I managed to get it. And now what? What do I do now? So, like you said, all the information just goes out of the window. We've been
mhm.
drilling this for an hour, and I do not know what to do from here. It's so funny.
Oh, that's as your journey continues, you'll end up having a suitcase of things to do,
Oh,
whether it
things.
be
Yeah,
you
yeah,
have a go-to submission, and it's like my one coach always tells me, there's a roadmap, and a roadmap is always to that position for that submission.
yeah.
So like for me it's Kimura. So no matter what it is, I'm always trying to get to a
Trying to
position
get
to
the
get a
camera
Kimura,
on. Yeah,
whether it be side control and then we work around to the Kimura, whether it be if I'm in half guard, bottom half guard, I'm looking to get to Kimura. There's so many different things, you know to so many different paths to get to where you need to be, but always having that roadmap, knowing this is where I want to go. And
yeah,
then you got the other intricacies that come into play, like such as your transitions and actually getting there. That's where it starts getting tricky. But once like, hey, I know I need to get to the back for a rear naked choke, or maybe I can transition that to a bow and arrow or a reaper choke or whatever it may be. But always knowing, like, if you get to your one position, this is where you want to be. Just worry about getting there. Once you're there, get secure and just kind of hang out, and then kind
yeah,
of, okay, I'm here.
yeah.
Now what?
No, what? Yeah, it was fun. I was rolling this morning with one of the lads, and I love rolling with him. He's really sweet. He's a purple belt, and he's always taking the opportunity to teach me, which I love. I love when you're in the middle of the roll and they just kind of and I took his back. I don't know how I managed to take his back, because to me that's like such a he probably helped. He didn't. I didn't take his back. He gave me his back because I was kind of getting there, and they're trying to let you implement some of the things that we've been learning. And I'm on his back, and I was like, this feels great. Like I got the seatbelt on, and like the hooks are on, and he's like, oh, you can try this, you can do this, you can do the unlock, you can do the triangle, and I'm like, you saying all these words like like you think I know what I'm doing. Like I'm just very happy to just be here. I'm on the back. I'm happy to be here. This is me now for the day. It made my weekend. I'm happy. And he's like, oh, you could, and then he's teaching me how. He's like, oh, put your leg here, do that. It's I love it, honestly. Best 3.5 hours of my day.
Yeah, that's. I remember that point where I would have teammates say all these different phrases and terms and submission. I was like, I don't know what none of that mean.
I
Like,
know. It's like a
like,
different language. It's like a whole
yeah,
dictionary or new dictionary of words that I've never heard before, and I don't know what it means. How do what it's yeah. Yeah, it's hilarious sometimes.
Whenever I come back from practice and I'm sitting here in the living room or there in the living room, right now I'm in my basement.
Yeah.
But whenever I'm sitting in the living room and my wife will ask, how was class? And I start talking about things and then I start going into just all these different terminologies.
Yeah.
And I can tell the moment she checks out. It, it's like, okay, sorry I asked.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it is a different language,
It is.
just how
It
you're
is a
saying
different
things, what
language.
you're saying. Jiu-jitsu in itself, the physicality of it is a different language. I
It
can't
is.
remember who said it, but it's like, you know, at white belt, you're learning your letters. You're learning your
Mm-hmm.
letters and your words. And then by blue belt, you're learning how to put together a sentence. And then
Sentences.
by purple belt, or might be white belt learning your letters, blue belt you're learning your words, purple belt you're learning how to make a sentence, brown belt you're learning how to write paragraphs, and then by black belt you're writing poetry. So
Love
it's
that. I love that. I may steal
the
that and put that on the post.
absolute. Hey, I just
Very
stole it. I
nice.
don't know where it came from, but I know I've seen it before. And when I start thinking about it in that way too, I start saying to myself, it's like, okay, I know letters. I know a
Yeah.
lot of these letters. Let's now form some of these words. And
And
that's
practice them.
as long as I've been a blue belt, it like you think like, hey, he should know this by now. It's like, nah, nah. We all learn our own pace. So,
Absolutely.
me being a blue belt for so long is like, okay, now let me actually take this serious and look at jujitsu and wanted to get to purple belt now. And
Yeah.
and it's not even so much about
Holistically.
wanting to get to the belt as much as it's let me gain this knowledge, because that's one thing I try to keep in mind too. I'm not looking at it as this journey for the belts. I am looking at this journey for the information and learning
Mm-hmm.
and figuring out and really just seeing how far I can push myself,
Yes.
within a certain boundary, because I don't know that I'm going to compete again. Maybe not. And like I think my mind is in a better place than it was before,
Mm-hmm.
but I also think too, it's like, well, I'm still testing myself in my own jump as well.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
like, my coach was telling me, it's like when you're rolling with white belts, put yourself in a bad position and try to work your way out of those bad positions. And
Mm.
then when
Instead
you
of
move
just
up,
trying to submit them and choke that. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, like and there's some people that will say, use white belts as punching bags. You learn by beating up on the white belts. I was like, well, I don't want to beat up on the white belts because I don't want you all as white belts have a bad experience. But there's
Yeah.
some white belts that are like, yeah, you know what? I come here for that challenge because you're beating me up. I got to learn how to stop you from beating me up. And sure,
Yes. Yes.
there is that. But from my perspective of it is, I want you as a learning individual to not feel like you're getting trounced all the time.
Yes. I think it's just
And
finding a balance, isn't it? Like you want to give
yes,
them a little bit of a challenge so they, they can, learn and work their way out, but you don't want to give them too much grief to discourage them,
correct. Yeah, there's definitely a good balance to work with that. And I like to think that I give a fair balance where,
Yeah.
you know, I might be in a bad position for about the first half of the role. And then I'm like, okay, I'm sick of this. And I get out and start beating
Get
the
off my
piss out of
back.
them. And they're like, okay, like, I don't like this. It's like, well, learn to love it because
Yeah,
you're stuck here for the next 3 minutes.
absolutely.
But again, the journey's different for everyone.
Yes.
Myself, yourself, our teammates, and no one should ever tell another person how to experience their journey
Yeah.
either.
Yeah.
Like I've had many of people tell me to compete, and it's like, when I get there, I'll get there.
Hmm.
I do think that it is beneficial to at least try it once to
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
I say that with therapy and jujitsu as well. I say everyone. I don't think jujitsu is for everyone, but I think everyone should try it
Absolutely. I
because
agree. I agree.
you don't know that you don't want to do it until you actually get out there. 'Cause for all I know, this would have been something like I was used to play football and basketball. Those sports, yes, they're rough and tumble. Well, football specifically,
Yeah.
but purposely, practicing to get choked by somebody. Is this something that seemed like was high on my list of things to do in life? Like if you would ask me back when I started 2015. So if you would ask me in 2013, you know,
Yeah.
hey, I think I was considering it then. So
Yeah.
let's say 2010, I probably
Yeah.
would have been like, if you told me, hey, by 2023, you're going to be doing Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, have a podcast, you're going to be really, really involved in the community,
Yeah.
and you're going to be like, you know, in love with it, I would have been
Yeah.
like, probably not. That doesn't
Yeah.
sound like the shit I'm into. Like,
That's so funny that you're saying that because, I grew up in Rio, and in the very kind of rough area in Rio, and in my I think in the 90s, I would say that's when the Gracie family started, the jiu-jitsu kind of started growing, and everybody was talking about it in school, and all the kids wanted to do jiu-jitsu, and there was all this fighting going on because everybody was challenging everyone in jiu-jitsu matches. And I remember then telling my mom I was like, I want to do jiu-jitsu. Everybody's talking about jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu on the TV, everybody, it's everywhere on the news. I was like, I want to do jiu-jitsu. And she was like, absolutely not, because it's, where we live, it's dangerous. People find out that you know a martial art, they're going to try and fight you. I don't want you involved in any of that. So absolutely not. And that just, died in my brain. It's like, okay, it's not happening. Fine. And then you get older, you get more fearful of things. You get all like, oh, I don't, like I told you, I was fearful of injuries and hurting myself and falling. So I just kind of, and I'm never doing anything remotely, related to martial arts ever in my entire, like, I'm not doing that. And here I am. And then all of a sudden it's like, and I remember avoiding even watching people fighting, MMA, UFC and stuff. Like, it would make me, I was like, oh, I don't like that. That's weird. Like, why they fight? Why are they punching each other? That's weird. Like, I don't like that. Why are they trying to hurt each other and kill each other? I don't like that. And here I am, 2023, writing blogs about it, and on a podcast talking about jiu-jitsu, and just in my brain talking to my friends that do not go to jiu-jitsu. I talk to them, and they're like all day, and yeah, and going to seminars. I'm just throwing myself in all the seminars that are available. I'm going to Mallorca in October because I want to, it's going to be at this big jiu-jitsu yoga fest in Mallorca. I'm going tomorrow. We have Roger Gracie coming to our academy. I'm going to be there. We had another one a few weeks ago, to the whole weekend of seminars. I was there. So I'm just trying to get all the information, everything, and I'm loving it. I'm watching all the fightings, all the fights, all the grappling. I'm trying to learn all the names of the fighters, all the things. So yeah, doing my research, learning about the Gracie family. So yeah, following everyone, and commenting on that posts. So yeah.
I mean, that's, again, you're embracing it, and that's good.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you get some people that, you know, they go into it and it's like, what are your motivations? What are your reasons? And some people, there was a period, it felt like, where people were doing it almost kind of for clout,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they weren't really there for jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
And I feel like that was short lived, though. It went away quickly, I believe,
Okay.
because
Okay. I think I
and,
missed that. But
yeah, it was very short lived. Like, I want to say, maybe right right before COVID, and maybe COVID like scared
oh,
them. Like,
okay. Okay.
people are like, fuck this,
Yeah.
COVID, fuck jujitsu too.
Yeah.
But you know, when dive yourself in like this, where you're like, look, I want to absorb it all. I want to watch the matches. I want to go to the seminars. I want to learn. I need to
Mm-hmm.
learn. I have a thirst for knowledge. It's a good thing. It's because nobody wants to do something that they don't want to do. If
Yes.
you're like, if you're going to jiu-jitsu and you're
Absolutely.
like, I don't want to be here, it's like, then why are you doing this? Whereas, like, if you're going to jiu-jitsu, you should be like, give me all of it. I want to do more.
All of it. And there's two things, like, it's not just, it's so good, the fact that you're getting fitter, that your mental resilience is just through the roof, and like your stamina is improving, your dopamine is hitting, and you just feel great, and you're getting in shape without even feeling that you're getting in shape. That's a huge bonus for me, because again, like, for many years I was trying to get fit and trying to be fit, somewhat fit. And I tried different things, and I never really. It felt like a struggle. It's like I'm dieting, and I'm kind of, going through this super strict diets and trying to exercise myself to completely, just feeling. And it just didn't feel right. Just everything just felt like a bit of a struggle. And this is so much fun. Like I told you, I was there at 8 o'clock in the morning. I did not wake up that early normally I'm not up at that time. And if I am up at 8, I do not want to talk to people. I don't want to be interacting. I'm at 8 o'clock, I'm having my coffee and I'm chilling. 8 o'clock, I'm on the mat, rolling, learning, and like every single class. And I know it sounds super exaggerated. I tell that to my best friend all the time. Anna, love you. She's probably gonna be listening to that. She will, absolutely, because I'll be sharing that with her. Every single class with different coaches, doesn't matter which coach it blows my mind. Like they're demonstrating something, and they all have different ways of teaching, right? They have their personalities, the way how they conduct the classes and stuff. But every single class I go, even the ones that I find slightly more challenging because of the way that they teach, it blows my mind, because I'm like, how did you go from that to that, and now you're here, and then do you know what I mean? Like, do you feel like that, or is it just me? Because I'm like, what? To the point where I'm in class and like they finish whatever they're doing, and I'm like, my hands are on my face. I can't even hide it. My face is so expressive. Like I have all these weird faces going on for me during class, because I'm like, how did you wait? I told one of the coaches, it was like, we need to have, when you're doing the demonstration, we have to have a drone just flying around and like screens on the walls, just demonstrating from all the angles, because you're like, how did you get in that position, and how did you get out of that position? And then it's like, oh, you do this, and then if you go this way, you get this, and if you go this way, you get something better. But if you go this third way, and I'm like, what?
There are options.
This is my face every single class, and that's why I keep coming back, and that's why I'm literally like advocating for jiu-jitsu for everyone I know, and schools should be teaching jiu-jitsu, and some sort of self-defense, some sort of something, because every single time I go to class, it blows my mind. Like I walk out and I'm like, there is no way that happens. Like, what is going on? Like, because you changed the position of your elbow, now it's like, how did you master your body structure to that level, to that extent, to be able to maneuver out of those horrendous. There's an armbar. For me, in my brain of a white belt, if you're in an armbar, that's it, game over, finish. You armbar, tap, you're out. No, but you can roll out of it, and you can find your ways out. I was like, what? These little things literally blow my mind. Every single class, my mind is all over, my brain's all over the walls. It's just crazy.
I love your enthusiasm for it.
I know. I'm hot. I'm talking to
refreshing.
you and I'm sweating, because honestly, it makes me so excited, and I sound crazy, but it's like, why did I not find this sooner? Like, why did I not find this sooner?
Like I used to go to, well, I still go to therapy, but I used to go to therapy after I would go to jiu-jitsu,
Yeah, yeah.
and it was kind of unfair because I'd walk into, therapy, and I'd sit down and like, so how are things? But because I just got done training, things were great. I was happy. So, and I explained that to her. I was like, it's kind of unfair for me to come here after jiu-jitsu,
Yeah.
because I am happy after I leave jiu-jitsu,
Like,
win or
all my
lose,
troubles.
no matter what happens in class, I walk out of there, I feel good. But that's the power of exercise though
Yes,
too.
it is.
So,
It is. I think
um,
exercise would be the solution to lots of problems we have
mhm,
today, honestly.
absolutely. And I think the thing with exercise and working out, doing things, is like, I think a lot of people only have a one-sided view of what exercise is. People think,
Mm.
oh, go to the gym, lift weights,
Yeah.
or go running. And it's like, well, no, there are other ways to be
So
physical,
much more.
you know. whether it be basketball, whether it be jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, kickboxing, boxing, whether it be CrossFit. There are different things that you can do, to kind of get your body moving, and that goes a long
Absolutely.
way in our mental health and just overall happiness. But
Yeah.
I think a lot of people have this ideal, and I think about back in grade school with PE. You'd have those students that just didn't want to participate in PE because,
Yeah.
like, I don't want to do whatever the goofy sport we had to do that day in
Yeah.
class. And my wife, we still talk about the ideal of PE because she's like, yeah, I wasn't crazy about PE. I
Yeah.
think it's kind of unnecessary. I was like, I think it's absolutely necessary. I
Absolutely
think it's
necessary.
10,000% necessary, because that's part of the problem now is like those kids who thought it wasn't necessary. Now those kids, not all of them, but there are a lot of them that are, facing, depression, or, might be facing body image issues or
Yeah.
whatever it may be. And it's like, if you have a healthy relationship early on with physical activity and understanding it, that goes a long way in helping you get a better understanding of yourself and your own mind later on. I mean, I played lots of sports growing up.
Yeah.
And the thing is, once I got to jujitsu, though, I think it really became something different for
Yes.
me. And, again, when I leave jujitsu, after training yesterday, I messaged my friend, um, who also trains out in Madrid, and just, kind of talking about class. Cause I always do that. I always like, hey, just getting out of class, we went over this, and that. I
Yeah.
feel pretty good about it. I had trouble with this, but it's like afterward, I want to do nothing but talk about jujitsu. I just feel like it's jujitsu is everything for me. And like, much like you, I advocate for all my friends to try it. Like, I want everyone to try it because, again, you never know. Like, people, talk about jujitsu. Oh, it doesn't work in the streets. I think people have this really goofy ideal about those who say jujitsu won't work in the streets. These are people who are also thinking, oh, well, you're going to try to do an arm bar, or you're going to try to berimbolo, or you're going to try to it's like, well, no, just having body control, that goes a long way. Just
Absolutely.
understanding positioning, understanding, how to make sure that their hands aren't in action. There's so much to jiu-jitsu that you learn on the mats that can translate to your own personal safety off the mats. There's so much
Absolutely.
on the mats that you can learn that translate to your own mental health. Jiu-jitsu, can do it all. So
I think, but that's the thing. Like, if I was to start talking about the benefits of, especially for me, it would be a few, episodes of your podcast, because um, it makes me emotional. Like how it changed, like how it changed my. It's almost like I was in a timeline until February, and then jiu-jitsu just grabbed me, the little, the machine, the gauze that kind of grabbed the little
yeah,
bears, and I just grabbed him from that timeline and just threw me in this complete new timeline where everything is just exciting and brighter, and there's just this immense amount of information and knowledge that I didn't know. It's a complete new universe that opened up to me. And like I said, like the benefits on my body, like I can feel my body changing. I can feel myself feeling stronger. My recovery time is shorter. Like before, I would go for one lesson, maybe two classes two classes a week for 1 hour, and I was dead for dead. My whole body was hurting. I couldn't go up and down the stairs without, feeling some sort of discomfort in my leg, in my arm. I can keep, I'm tired, but I would go. I was there for 3.5 hours. I will go again if there was an evening. I would be there, and tomorrow I'm there again, and I'll be there in the morning. I'll be there in the evening. So like you can feel the body just kind of picking up, and like I'm not saying, and again, I'm not telling you that like there's no moments where you don't, it's like, oh, the sadness is gone. I don't feel anything. I'm just happy. No, that's not true. But I feel like now, even if I have some sort of like, oh, this upsets me or whatever, like it just snaps up, because I feel like I'm surfing in this ocean of dopamine that there's no space for things to set in too long. And that's what I'm saying. Like, and that's still not because of jujitsu, it's because of exercise. It's just because of just exercising and getting getting the fluids kind of flowing and things flowing in your body, just, shaking stuff out of your body, which I believe that there's so many studies on how many that your body will literally release things in your blood circulation, in your bloodstream, that heal you once you exercising, and your body's producing all this goodness in your bloodstream that will heal you from inflammation and things that are going on in your body that you're not even aware of. And not only that, but like will attack whatever's making you depressed. There is research from actual scientists, that it's a thing. It's not it's any exercise. So like if people would just move a little bit, and if people just get those things, get moving, I think a lot of things would be easier and simpler and just flow better in general. So
I agree. And I think what jiu-jitsu brings to that is that it's just a different style of movement, and there's
yeah,
so much, to learn from it, so many different movements. I also think, when I look back on me playing football and basketball
yeah,
and how that wrecked my body for no reason, there's no benefit to it other than me just out there playing football and
yeah,
basketball with friends and
yeah.
hurting my body. Whereas like doing jiu-jitsu, it's like, you know, there are lessons to be learned
Mm,
on how to approach things in life, not
absolutely.
just a physical way, but like also in a mental way, ways that I approach work, ways that I approach other jobs, how I
Yes,
answer questions.
yes,
So, y-
yes.
you know, there's so much from jujitsu that can be, super beneficial. And, that's not to say, jiu-jitsu is the only answer. No, I mean physical activity, I think, is the ultimate goal. We should strive for is to just move around.
Yeah,
But I think what jiu-jitsu and also kickboxing and Muay Thai, martial arts in general brings is
yeah,
like it's fun. you
yeah.
know
And you're talking about like people talking about fighting and that jiu-jitsu doesn't work on the streets or whatever. But when you're in that mind space, and like, again, like, you never know when things, shit will happen, and a fight is gonna start with break and stuff, and now you're in the middle of some nonsense. But if you are in some sort of, if your mindset is in the right place, and you have the confidence to know that, like, I don't need to get into this. I'm just gonna walk away. You don't even need to get in the fight. This is what people say, oh, jiu-jitsu doesn't work on the streets. Do I want to get on a fight in the middle of this? No, I don't. So I'm just gonna walk away because I don't want to get involved in it. I don't want to get in an altercation. So, like, you know what? You want to be mouthing, just mouth away. I'm just gonna walk in that direction and go home, because I don't feel like getting, like, engaging. I don't feel like getting in an altercation, because why would I? So it's like, it's not even about, does it work? Does it not work? It's like my mindset is, I don't want to get into an altercation because I've got other things to do, and I've got to be, beautiful and ready for training tomorrow morning. So no, thank you. I'm just gonna walk away, which is a mindset that can help. That's something. It's a lifestyle. You know what I mean?
yes.
It affects your mindset, because it's like, I don't want to get involved. This is nonsense. I don't want to get involved. Which, if you don't have, I'm not saying that it's the solution to all the troubles, but I'm saying, like, if you don't have that, you may just get carried away and end up in a fight and end up getting your ass kicked because you didn't know how to defend yourself or how to not get into it, because your mind is all over the place. So, it's just some food for thought, I think.
That's one of the key things that jiu-jitsu has given me, is the confidence to be able to just say, if someone wants to do something and I don't want to do it, I just have the confidence now just saying no without explaining myself. I can just say no.
Yeah,
And it's not even a matter of like, because, and I know I always joke about this, I've joked about it on plenty of episodes, in my mind is like, well, no. And the no is very strong because I know I could kick your ass. But it's not
exactly.
even that. It's really a matter of being, having the confidence now to be able to say no without having to explain myself, not because I feel like that person is going to physically assault me or
Yeah.
anything, but it is a matter of there's nothing you can say that's going to make me feel
Yes,
bad
yes.
about my decision.
Because it
You know,
helps with your self-control, right? Like he helps. It's not about kicking people, like learning a martial art of any kind of martial art. It's not about like, oh, I want to learn because I want to know how to kick people's ass. It's just like, no, I want to learn because I want to know how to, a way of self-defending myself, and for a bunch of other reasons that do not involve fighting people in the streets. So, I just find this argument very like, why do you want to fight? Yes, if you get in the middle of it, unfortunately, sometimes you may, I'm never, but you know what I mean? But why would you, maybe you don't even want to get in, so just walk away. Just be like, you know what? I have the self-control. I have my mind in the right place. I don't want to get into this. I'm just gonna walk away. If you see a fight breaking, just walk the other way. Like, no, I don't want to get involved, or just don't get, all in your or angry because someone said something to you that just you just walk away. Like, I feel very peaceful. I don't know. I just feel like
yeah.
I don't feel like getting notifications. So I don't, and I never had, but especially now, it's like, why would I? Everything is great. Life is fantastic. Why do I want to get in a fight?
I've been saying recently, I'm sure of all the podcasts that I have, like, this is a repeat for many people listening, but one of the things that kind of stand out in my mind about confidence and just feeling, strong enough to say no, or to just authentically be yourself, is that there are people that talk a lot of shit. There are trolls all over the interwebs, and they
Yeah,
like to talk shit.
yeah,
And one of the things that I think about with those people that are talking shit is like, you can't beat me. And it's not even a matter of like, oh, I do jujitsu, I'm better than you. No, people who are talking shit are usually losers.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
the people who can kick the shit out of me and are better at me in so many different things, they're not talking shit. As a matter of
yeah,
fact, they're probably encouraging. They're probably trying to help build you up, or whatever it may be. And whenever I was growing up, people would say, hey, do you want to go do this? I fell into a lot of like shitty traps of like just making poor decisions because I didn't have the confidence to not be on my own. Whereas
yeah,
now I'm like, I'm okay being on my own. I'm okay not fitting in a group. And I know as humans, we are tribal. We want to belong to a group. But I think with, just jujitsu, it's given me that confidence to say, well, I don't need to belong to that group per
yeah,
se.
yeah,
If somebody says, hey, let's go. I mean, granted, I'm 45, so I shouldn't be in any situation where it's like, hey, let's go spray paint some walls. No, I'm a grown
yeah,
ass man. But and I think also part of that is maturity now, growth. But I also think too is like when I am dealing with a troll on the internet, I have to ask myself, do I even need to respond to this person? Like, no, because this person
exactly.
more than likely knows nothing. They're just like anyone who comes onto any of the posts. Like I put up, quite a few mental health awareness posts and
Yeah.
suicide awareness posts, and I get people that like to say shitty things on those posts. And I have to remind myself, I was like, well, you're a shitty person, number one. Number two, you're a loser. And number three, I mean, you don't
Why
have to be here. You don't
Yeah,
have to
why
come
would
to
you
my
put your
post.
energy into that? Why would you engage with this kind of energy? Do you know what I mean? It's just nonsense. And like again, like for you to get in an altercation, there are steps. So like you can stop yourself through these steps before you get
Yeah.
to that point. It's not something like, oh my God, now I'm in a fight and I have to fight for my life. It's like, no, there are steps leading to that. So like if you use some of your self-control and like apply some of those the philosophy of martial arts of you don't need to get to that point anyway. And like you're talking about confidence, it just reminded me of this thing that I saw. I'm a huge fan of Roger Gracie, obviously. Like I'm in the Roger Gracie Academy. I'm learning so much about the Gracie family and stuff. I'm a huge fan. And I saw this thing because I believe that there's confidence, like real confidence. There's fake confidence, which is when you just, tell yourself that just convince yourself of confidence. And there's arrogance, right? And they're talking about Roger. I think he was in preparing for a competition, and he was literally like the day before the competition and stuff. And I think all the coaches and who, his team is just talking to him and having all this, talking about strategies and talking about this, and everybody's like flapping about this, like, oh, you this, and like making a whole plan. And he just looked at them and was like, guys, I've got this. Like, it's under control. Like, this was the tone of it. Everybody's just like, jumping up and down and like, trying to, and he's just like, I've got this. I know what I'm gonna do. Like, you don't worry. So I think that's the mindset. That's what I'm trying. Like, when I see him fighting and like his face is the composure that he has, and I know a lot of fighters have that, but like when I look at, he's got the face, like the face doesn't change. Like he's in the middle of it in a huge competition, and his face is just completely unbothered, like he's in the zone, right? Like, and like that's the confidence, right? That's the real confidence of a person that knows his skill sets, is aware of his weaknesses if he has any, and knows how to apply them. So you have that innate, that kind of raw confidence, and obviously after a lot of training and all of that, but
No, I agree. Like having that, like knowing that you have that confidence and just not stressing it goes a long way in things going right or going well for you. Just when you're, I can speak for myself in this with like being unsure and having that anxiety going into anything and worried. Um, it's crippling, and it can cause you to make mistakes.
absolutely.
Whereas if you're like, look, I'm confident because I know I'm going to go in and do this, and if that doesn't work, I have a contingency plan. And the thing is, I think what that really boils down to is not worrying about having to go to your contingency plans, not having to worry about well, what about plan B, C, D, and all the way through to Z. It's like, look, this is plan A, and I've drilled this enough, I've worked on this enough where it should work. Now, should I need to go to plan B, I shouldn't have a problem there either. But I know that it's going to be okay. Whereas, you got me, I'm like, oh shit, well, what if this doesn't work? It's like, well, what's your plan for this? Well, like, well, I give you a list of like 18 different plans. I think also part of that too is like when people ask questions, you feel like you need to give the right answer. So it's like, and what's the right answer? Like if you were to say, Dante, what's your plan? You're going to compete next week. What's your plan? And then, I have this laundry list of things to say because I'm trying to give you something that you're looking for versus just saying what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
So just be confident, people. Be confident.
Absolutely. Be confident. Work on it. It may not come naturally to
That's true.
to most of us, but just work on it. Just yeah.
I'm the last person to be saying, to say, oh, just be confident, because for a very long time I wasn't confident. So yes, work on it for sure. One of the things I wanted to ask you was about your blog.
Okay.
I know we've mentioned it a few times here. Uh, you know, I think the first thing I want to ask about the blog is, what pushed you in that direction to start a blog, and then also could you tell us a little bit about it, just like like I said, why you started, and just kind of a theme of it of sorts, I guess.
Yeah. So I work with my best friend. Actually, she had we have a few blogs, two main ones, but the first one's called intheplayroom.co.uk. So that one was hers from many years, and she's been working on that. She had it going on. It was quite big already in the UK at the time. And then in 2020, I was looking for a job. My daughter has just started nursery, I think, at the time. And I was looking for jobs. I was kind of looking for something in my area of expertise at the time, which was personal assistant, executive assistant in London. And I couldn't get anything because I haven't worked for 5 years. I just couldn't get any interviews. And then eventually I did manage to get an interview. It went amazing. I kind of got the job. And I say kinda because COVID hit. As soon as I got the confirmation, everything went ahead. The president, I had an interview with him and he loved me. He's like, yeah, let's go ahead. Everything was sorted. And we were in the process of getting contract and all of that. And COVID happened. And, all the chaos, nobody knew what was going on with the financial world. And they called me and they're like, we are really sorry, but we're going to have to pause this. And I was so upset because it was going to be I saw that as my big breakthrough after motherhood. It was like, I'm back, back into the workforce. And I was feeling myself. I was so happy. I had all this, business outfits prepared. I was making plans. I was really excited. So it kind of really hit me at the time. And I was friends with Anna since I moved to the UK. And then we were literally having our nails done. This is so bizarre. We were in a nail salon getting our nails done. And I told her, I was like, and she was talking to me about the blog. She's like, oh, I'm really kind of, have this blog, but, there's so many emails. I'm not able to keep up with all the emails. There's so many. And I was like, do you want me to kind of jump in and help you out with the emails? Because, that's something that I'm used to do. And I can help, the admin part of the business. I don't really know what blogging is because I've never done that before. But if you want help with the emails, I can help you out and then we see what happens. That's how it started. So I started helping her with her emails. Her mailbox was absolutely out of control. There was thousands of emails, lots of emails. When I said lots, there was lots of emails there. And that was in the playroom, which is more focused on kids and crafts. And it's more, more focused on, just helping just parenting in general. So we started working on that. It started kind of, we got some momentum on that. COVID was happening. Everything was happening. It was crazy, but it was great because we're working from home. I don't have a job. Everything's closed, lockdown everywhere. So we started doing that and it started picking up. We started getting all this clients and, all this posts and people wanting posts. And then because of COVID and the lockdown, we all kind of went through our own demons and moments of just being locked up and not really having much else to do. Just start growing. And I was like, oh, maybe we should just make a new one and just talk about, mental health and spirituality, just trying to help people through this time of uncertainty. That's literally how it starts. It's like everybody's going through a bit of a tough time now. Everybody's, locked in. Nobody knows what to do with that. Like, let's just kind of talk about, mental health and how to just kind of meditate and, try your best to whatever tools you have available, just being in a state of mind that's a bit more peaceful, a bit more, just helping people to cope with lockdown. So we created On Your Journey. And that took off really quickly, I think, because everybody was locked up in the house. Everybody was on the internet all day. So that blog kind of really took off really quickly to the point where we didn't know it was going to go grow that fast, that quick, that big, that quick. And that's kind of how we ended up with On Your Journey. And now we have these two main ones. We have a few other ones in the back burner, but On Your Journey in the playroom, they are thriving and they're doing fantastic. And and I'm loving it. And it's such a good outlet for creativity because we get to share our experiences. We get to help, just share articles, things that we believe, things that we think helps with well-being, from spirituality to skincare, so and now we have JItsu. So I'm just kind of trying to create this other fitness, health, well-being kind of category, which was already there, but I'm just trying to pump some information there on jiu-jitsu and how it's helping me and how it could maybe help someone else.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
We were talking before we started recording, and
Yeah.
I mentioned that I was starting a blog. I considered starting a blog before starting a podcast.
Yeah.
And it just didn't go?
Yeah, it's time consuming. It can be, it's a lot. Like, it's amazing. It's very flexible. I work from home. I just need internet and laptop. And but it's a lot. We have a lot of requests. We have to be posting content every day. You know, what people are googling, so it's quite time consuming, and you have to write them, and you have to make sure they look nice, and you have to select pictures, and you have to do all the backlinks and all. It's time consuming, but it's very fulfilling. I'm loving it, and it pays the bills, which is great. And I get to do all the other, I get to go to jiu-jitsu for 3 hours and come back and do some work and get paid, so it's fantastic.
I could imagine, you go train and then you come back. Just after the experience of training can give you so much more to write about because there's
Oh my
just so
god,
much
yeah.
energy
and
to it.
and jujitsu is giving me so much brain space. Like, I feel like there's just all this clarity, and like, it's like my brain's just, there's so much space, and like all of a sudden I'm having all these ideas. I always considered myself a very non-creative person. I was like, I'm not creative, I'm more like executive. Like, tell me what to do and I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do a good job, but I'm not very creative. I don't have many ideas. I see people doing all these cool things and creating products and I'm like, how did you even think of that? Like, my brain doesn't. But all of a sudden, I'm having all this, like, oh, I've got an idea. Let me try and see if I can work something out. So yeah, it's kind of like, I don't know if it's a coincidence or if it's just life. But yeah, recently I've been having lots of little creative ideas, and I'm trying to work on some things on the side. Yeah.
I always think about ideals. I have a lot of ideals, but then I think about like when people. I think a lot of people have a lot of ideals, but I think the difference between like someone like yourself and someone like myself is like the confidence to put that ideal out there,
Oh yeah.
the confidence to write something. Because, like I said, when I started doing my blog, it was like I'm looking, I was like, this doesn't look like it works, and then I was like, I'm not putting this out.
Yeah.
For all I know, it could have worked. But I mean, the same could be said with this podcast. I did the podcast. It
Yeah.
was like,
Very true. Very true.
I don't think this is gonna really work, but fuck it, just put it out there.
Yeah.
Like,
I
if
am
they
not.
like it, cool.
When it comes to these things like that, it's like I'm very fearless. Um, or how, but like I throw myself onto things, and then I'm like, yeah, if it doesn't work, like, yeah, maybe it was a bit of a failed, but whatever. Like, I if I see something and I think that could become something really cool, I will throw myself like head first. Like, I don't care. So with a lot of the blogs that I wrote, they are my personal experiences, which can be quite daunting. But yeah, I wrote about my experience with jiu-jitsu. I wrote about my experience with going through a divorce with a child. But it's so, the fulfilling part is that you put this stuff out there, right? And it's you're exposing yourself to, in a way, being very vulnerable. But then you get people coming back and saying like, oh, thank you so much for sharing that, like, that really helped me, like, thank you for sharing your experience because I'm going through the same thing. Or I shared that post with the jiu-jitsu with a few people, and they came back, it's like, wow, what a good read, that was so cool. So it's nice. So do you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, I'm really liking it. I really enjoy it.
Oh, good, good.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah.
it's definitely something that I feel like when you have that ability, that creativity, and in expressing your words, expressing your experiences,
Mm.
because you know like I look at, again, when I wanted to start the blog, it was about jiu-jitsu, and it was like, and I had a lot of experiences, but it's like, how do I verbalize that
How to
experience?
verbalize. Yeah, yeah, I see what you mean. It's the same. I think it's a lot with teaching, right? Like, you can know a lot of things. Like, I know a lot, like, I know a lot of, let's say you become a black belt, it's like, oh, I know a lot of jiu-jitsu, but can you teach? Can you transfer that
Mhm.
information? Do you have the skills, the tool set to share that? It's a different matter. So
Yeah.
I like writing. It was never something that I thought I was gonna be good at, but some of them, like, I was like, yeah, I need to. Some days I was like, I've got a blog, I've got this thing in my head, in my heart, I need to get it out, and I wrote it, and it felt good, and people liked it. So I was like, oh, great, this is great. Um, so yeah, but it's not something I thought I had. And this is the thing, like the same with the podcast, right? Like you could, you didn't know, but just throw yourself and see what happens, isn't it? And then if it goes well, fantastic. If it doesn't, you try something else,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. It's I feel like then also for you, it's like, you know what? There's a next step to this transition. I mean, you're blogging, you're writing about your experiences.
Yeah.
Maybe a podcast is the next step.
I
Talk
tell
about
you,
your experiences.
you know what? I have been thinking about. I've been talking to a friend of mine, and he was like, "Oh, you should interview this person. You should interview that person. Jiu-jitsu related, right?" He was like, "Why don't you interview that person?" I was like, "Hmm." It sounds really, because I was like, I don't know. Could I do that? Could I? Because I'm not shy, so that's one that goes, that that works. I'm not shy person. I'm not camera shy either. So yeah, so I mean, you never know. You never know. It could be something else. It could be something
Yeah.
else.
I
Could be.
mean, that's one of those things though too. Is like, just taking a written form interview and turn into verbal. I have a good friend. She's interviewed a few grapplers, and we were I was working on a website, and I just decided like, it's just I got too much on my plate. Like
Yeah.
I don't feel like, and I'm very like, I'm not a control freak by any means, but
Yeah.
I'm very much, I don't want to ask anyone else to help me do something, because it was like I don't want to put other stuff on other people's plates. So I feel like
Yeah.
I have to run a website as well, and then do the 3 podcasts, and then also still go to a 9 to 5 job, and all these
Yes.
other things. So this friend and I, we were talking about it, and she's like, "Look, I have these interviews I've done. We could throw them up on the website. I can also you know do I can interview them, and do it on the podcast if you don't mind." I was like, absolutely, I would love that, because number one, that's a good outlet for you, a good forum, to share. But also, if she's doing a couple podcast episodes here and there, I don't have to do them.
Exactly.
It's like a little less work for me.
Oh, what
But
is it?
yeah, I think that would be really cool. Just you know go out
Yeah.
into the community, to the jiu-jitsu community, reach out. A lot of people in the community are super welcoming, super open. It's so much so that it threw me off, because I've asked some people, "Hey, would you be willing to be on the podcast?" And they said yes. I was like, "Oh fuck, you weren't supposed to say yes.
Oh,
You were
that's like,
supposed to be like,
I
hey,
wasn't
I'm
expecting that.
yeah." And you're supposed to be busy. Like, I don't have time. I'm like really busy. I was like, oh
Like, oh,
shit.
sorry, but yeah, I
Like,
see. Yeah, that's funny.
and a couple of my I freaked out and just never followed back. I was like, okay.
Yeah,
like
but I
like I'm
wasn't
not I'm
prepared for it. Yes.
yeah. So I mean, and there's been a couple people that actually say yes. I was like, okay, cool, let's do this. And then I was like, oh
Yeah,
shit, I got to figure out how to actually make this episode work. But
yeah,
with your outgoing personality, you know, I think you reach out, plenty of
yeah.
people be willing to share.
I'm not scared to reach out. I mean, so yeah, you
Yeah.
never know. I think it's the same. It's the same with the competition things. Like, oh, do you want to compete? It's like, right at this second, I don't know, but it may change. It's always, and again, like it's fun. Like, I've never done a podcast before. I've never. I had no idea what I was getting into. I've seen them. I've watched many. I listen to podcasts all the time, but I was like, what am I was like, oh my god, what if he's asking me all these technical questions? I'm a white belt. I'm gonna make a fool of myself. I'm gonna make a fool of the academy. I'm gonna be kicked out of the gym. It's gonna be terrible. They're gonna hate me. They're gonna be bad mouthing me on Instagram tomorrow. But yeah, this is great. This is great. This is fun.
Good. Good. I'm glad the experience was a pleasant one. And that's, like I told you before we start recording, that's my goal, is to make sure that anyone that comes on here has a good experience. I want people to walk away from this saying, dude, I'd love to do another episode, because for me, more often than not, if you come on the podcast, that first one's kind of a get to know you. Let's find
Yeah.
out your story. Then I want you back, because let's talk about your story further. Number one, but number two, now that you've got that comfort and that flow, it's like now start telling like your projects, your plans, what you're doing, what you want to do there, and then it's like I always want people to want to come back.
Yeah.
Um, in you know, I you always try to warn people like, look, I'm not like one of those shock interviewers that I don't want to ask the tough questions because
Yes,
I don't want
yes.
you to feel uncomfortable. And also sometimes the tough questions, I don't want the answers to the tough questions because I feel like it might be too
I
personal.
don't want to know that. Yeah.
It's like you've mentioned going through a divorce. I don't want to be that guy that comes in like, so tell me about your divorce, go into
Tell me,
detail,
how was
like
that? Give
that's
me all the
um,
tea, all the detail, the
yeah,
horrible
that's
details.
uncomfortable. It's like people always want to, I don't want to say people, like there's some like, shows where it's like they want to get people uncomfortable, and then, you got people that
Yeah.
want to watch that, and it's like,
The things that
I
gives it
guess,
gets views, isn't it? It's the
yeah,
wrong people are in this. Some people are in the business for the wrong reasons. They just want the views, and they just want to go viral, and they just want to be in the
yeah.
headlines and all of that. So yeah,
I
get
just like
clout.
to get people's stories, and I don't travel. I don't go places. I'm where I am. So
Yeah.
this is kind of my way of seeing the world, talking to different
Yes.
people from different countries, different backgrounds,
Yeah.
and you know, so having this exchange, having this experience is like this works for me, and hopefully it works for you all as the guest.
Absolutely.
And you know, let's build on it. So we got that.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, it was really cool. It's experience, isn't it? Do something at least once, isn't it? So done
Absolutely.
it now.
If you're like, yeah, I've done it once, I don't think I want to do it again. It's like, okay, as long as it wasn't because it was a bad experience.
It
Um,
was not at all. It was really, really fun actually. Really,
good,
really
good.
cool. Yeah.
Before we get out of here, do you have any
Okay.
shout outs or mentions that you like to drop for us?
Oh goodness. I wasn't prepared for that. Now you got me. I want to say hi to Anna. Anna's my best friend, and like we do the blogs together. So I love her. She's gonna love that. So yeah, to her, to my coaches, I love them. They are fantastic. Oh my goodness, my daughter. She's not gonna listen to it, but you asked for a shout out, so here you go.
Hey,
Um, yeah, I think that's it. I don't know. I don't know. I couldn't miss her because she will kill me if I don't say so. She will. So yeah, yeah. The coaches and like all the lads in the gym. Again, I'm not gonna name names because there's many of them and they are all
sure.
fantastic. But for the experience, for the patience, for the kindness, I know I said that, and they're very supportive. They help me build blog posts, and they're always so sweet. And yeah, the coaches for just putting up with me and teaching, giving me just it's just being fantastic. I'm very happy, and I'm very glad and grateful that I jumped in, even though I had no idea what I was jumping into. And yeah, I know. And yeah, and for the teachings, and yeah, I'm loving it. I love it.
Good, good. And your blog, what's the name of that, and where can we find it?
So yeah, so it's onyourjourney.co.uk. That's the
All
one
right.
that I'm putting all the jiu-jitsu material for now.
Okay.
And in the playroom.co.uk.
All right. I'll make sure to put those links in the show
Yes.
notes for everyone to
Thank
find.
you. Thank you.
And before we get out of here, I like to also give a big shout out and thank you to everyone who's listening to the podcast. If you have any questions, concerns, criticisms, feel free to reach out to me. You can find me at bjj.wiki on Instagram or Off the Mats Podcast on Instagram as well. Um, if you want to be a guest, reach out. I've had a few people reach out recently, and I appreciate that. Jokingly, I say don't email me because I can't tell the difference between a real email and the spam email. So I just freak out and delete them all. But I've had some people email me, and we've connected, so I appreciate that. And it's been a good experience. I'd like to give a shout out to my team over there at Nerd Rage Radio. Bobby, Chris, Joe, thank you. If it weren't for Nerd Rage Radio, I wouldn't be doing podcasts. And I started with them many years ago, and I decided let me branch off because we talk about a lot of nerd stuff over there, a lot of pop culture stuff over there, and I was like, let's go talk about some jiu-jitsu and just life over here. So thank you to Nerd Rage Radio. I appreciate you guys. I love you. I need to get back over there. I haven't been on in a while. I think last time I was on was Juneteenth. So I it's been a minute. I need to go back and see my friends. Um, Also want to give a shout out to my other podcast called So You Like Horror. If you're into scary movies and things like that, go check it out. We've been talking about horror movies through the decades. We started in the 1920s. I just finished recording the most recent episode for the 2010s decade, and that should be out this Friday. So go check those out. And we're going to be moving in a new direction for 2024 just because we've done horror by the decades. We got to find a whole new set of themes to do. And it's going to be fun either way. And we got some big horror movies coming out. So we'll be talking about a lot of that upcoming. So go check it out. You can find it on Instagram. So You Like Horror. All the words are separated by underscore. And you'll find it. It's me. My name's there. So go check that out. And last but not least, I'd like to give a big shout out to our guest here, Miss Luciana Oliveira. Thank you for being my guest and sharing your story and your experience. And I would love to have you back on if you are willing to come back on and share more of your journey later on.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I'm so happy with the opportunity. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for inviting me. This was fun. I'm definitely going to come back. If you want me back, I'll happily come back. And yeah, just thank you. Another thank you to the RGA Chester team for, for welcoming me and for the roles. And yeah, this was great.
Good. And next time we talk, hopefully we'll be working in that direction of getting your own podcast up and running. And it'll all fit
Maybe
together
I'll
and
be
make sense.
interviewing you. Maybe we'll be on opposite sides.
Maybe. Hey,
Maybe.
whatever you need, let me know. I got you. All right.
Perfect.
All right. And as I like to end this with all the shout outs and all the love and just the appreciation from everyone who's supported the podcast. Again, I can't thank you enough. I look back on it and saw all the old posts of people tagging the podcast and mentioning the podcast, and it teared me up a little bit. So thank you everyone for that. And as always, you all keep listening to the show, and we're going to keep making this. Thank you, everyone, and goodbye.
They with it. Now let me sing a song.